Hello everyone, Seraphin here, welcome back for more Castlevania Aria of Sorrow Soul Hunting Edition. Because that's what we're doing, is all about the souls. And I was very happy with the progress we made last episode. Hopefully this will be another example of that. So this is going to be fun. This particular area of the arena is covered in spikes on the floor, and little conveyor belts, and yeah, let's just leave it at that. Needless to say, we are going to be equipping Medusa Head, so I can hover in the air if I need to, and I'm also going to be equipping Gargoyle to be immune to petrification, because there's a fartload of Medusa Heads in here. Whoops, that's ectoplasm. And I don't want to get stunned by spikes and thrown on, and be be petrified, because if you land on spikes while petrified, it does double damage. Because being petrified always does double damage. And I would much rather take the 1 damage from the Medusa Head and be able to jump and recover and be fine than take upwards of 300 damage a hit from the freaking spikes. It's not entertaining at all. We don't have Aranus yet, I just realized too, and that would be nice. Well, I guess I'd only take like 160 damage from the spikes, but still, it's not a lot. That's not something I want to be doing. So here's the... Whoa. I forgot about that. Here's the last weapon we didn't get. This is the Ballmonk. Ballmonk is a legendary dragon-slaying sword in mythology, I believe. It's actually from an epic written by Wagner, who's a German playwright slash poet, I believe. But he wrote the what is it? I can't remember the name of it for the life of me. It's like, man, my brain is just not working right now. At any rate, he wrote this really cool epic. I've actually read it. It's very cool. Again, I cannot remember the name of it, and I don't know why. At any rate, it is very cool. But there's actually an RPG series that I play that is that has a lot of heavily based stuff that is heavily based off of it. I play a lot of .hack, for those of you who are familiar with that particular series, or I used to at any rate. It's been a long time. .hack is a JRPG series. It's a little weird because the idea behind .hack is that it's an MMORPG, but it's offline. Like, oh, there's Killer Mantle, sweet. So that'll make things easier. In fact, why don't we slap on Gremlin again, because I don't need that anymore. And we're actually going to put Killer Mantle on because that'll come in handy later. At any rate, so the idea with .hack is that you're playing in what appears to be an MMORPG, so an online RPG, but the entirety of the game themselves is single-player offline. It was on the PS2. And in fact, I have the original quadrilogy of .hack on the PS2. I still own all of them, the original copies and everything. We don't need Succubus. Good luck finding them now. They're extremely expensive and hard to find. Again, it's another example of getting in on the ground floor like I did with Fire Emblem. For some reason, I don't think .hack was ever really that popular, and it arguably still isn't, because I'd be surprised if a lot of you haven't or have heard about it, to be honest. I know a couple of you watching have heard of it or have even played it, but it's not something that's very well known unless you watched the anime that was on TV at the time. They actually released an anime series along... Another Killer Mantle. They released an anime series alongside the release of the first PS2 quadrilogy. It was .hack Sign. Oh, this is the only giant skeleton in the game, I believe, by the way, too, so hopefully he drops his soul rather quickly. There's a bag of money at the end of this hallway. But the .hack Sign anime was... It was actually, like, in tandem with the games themselves. Like, the events of the games took place at the same time as the anime series. And then the games themselves actually came bundled with a DVD. Oh, look, Were Tiger. In addition to having the game inside the PS2 case, there was a video DVD, and it was another anime series that was in the same vein and also taking place at the same time as the games. So if you were into .hack in the early 2000s, I want to say like 2003, 2004, that kind of region, then you got a set of 4 games that came out like one after the other. I think like they came out 1 year, like one year after the next one. And then you had the anime. You had one anime series on TV, and then you had another one that came with the games. So you got a lot of content from that one JRPG series if you were into that franchise, and I certainly was. I still am to a certain extent, although here's the weird thing that's really bugging me. They released another game series after the first quadrilogy. They released a trilogy that took place after the original quadrilogy, and that was .hack GU. Don't ask me what GU stands for. I have no idea. One of my Tenzuka that I play with on this channel and for my live streams, he actually has the GU games, and he enjoys those quite a bit. I've not played them, only because I thought they messed with the model of the game too much, and that kind of bugged me. But at any rate, they actually went ahead and remastered the GU trilogy on Steam, and also added a 4th episode after the fact. But they didn't do that with the original 4 games, and that's what I'm upset about, because, in my opinion, the original 4 are the better ones, and why would you not remake the first ones first? Like, that seems a little weird to me. I guess GU probably did sell better, based on what I understand, but, like, I don't know, it seems weird to me. The company that makes the .hack franchise is still around, and they still have people who are working actively on the .hack project, because why would they release? They just released it like last year, maybe the year before last. But at any rate, it's really irritating to me that I don't have a remake of that, because playing it on the PS2 is... I have a PS2, so I can still play it. It's not a big deal, but the graphics leave a lot to be desired, unfortunately, by today's standards. The animation quality is a little weird, and then some of the controls are a little funky. There's a lot that could be done to improve upon the gameplay mechanics of that series in modern times, and I would really like to see them do that. Whether or not that's actually going to happen is another matter entirely. There actually have been a couple of anime series that have come out based in that same universe since then. For example, there was .hack Legend of the Twilight Bracelet that came out just after the games were finished releasing, I think, and that was on on Toonami at night on Cartoon Network once upon a time when I was, in high school. I rarely got to watch because it was on at like 1 in the morning. But that was really fun. It took place after the main events too, and then there was another one after that, but I can't remember what it's called. But it's a very rich series, very very rich lore, very rich universe, and I wish there was more effort put into it. I wish either they would remake the original quadrilogy so more people could play it, because holy smokes is the story ever good. And then, just make it more available, put some more effort into it. It's such a good series. So if you have not heard of or played .hack, I highly encourage you to take a look. If you're going to search for it online, so the official title of the game is .hack, like a period, right? But if you search for that, you're going to have a hard time finding stuff. So if you search for the word dot, so D-O-T, hack, just search for .hack, it's a lot easier to find stuff in that particular formatting, I guess. I didn't learn that until much later, because in my youth I'm looking for period hack and not finding anything. It's because, well, it's not really what it's called. But at any rate, check that out if you're interested. I'm sure you can find the anime somewhere. I'm sure somebody's hosting it online to watch. That being said, I own the DVDs of the original .hack signed anime. Obviously, I have all the games and all the DVDs that came with those. I don't have Legend of the Twilight Bracelet, but meh. But it's really cool. In fact, they even released a card game in Japan only. No, it came out in the US too. But they only made 1 or 2 sets and they were done with it, because I guess it didn't sell very well. It's kind of in the same vein as Fire Emblem Cypher, in my opinion. You guys, I don't know if anybody watched it, but there's an unboxing video I did of some of the starter decks from Fire Emblem Cypher that I have on this channel, because I wanted some. But that game is only in Japan. The difference being that game is now coming out, or just released its 15th set, or 16th set, and it's been out for over 3 years, and it's still going strong. So that's an example of a card game property working out very well, because Nintendo's had a renaissance with Fire Emblem in the last few years, thanks to the popularity of Awakening and Fates. Oh, there we go, giant skeleton, perfect. But thanks to the popularity of Awakening and Fates, and subsequently Heroes making a boatload of cash for Nintendo and Intelligent Systems, they are becoming far, far less shy about putting out merchandise for that series than they might have previously been, which I'm absolutely okay with, as you all are well aware. I think the more Fire Emblem-based stuff I can get my hands on, the better. And there's plenty that I don't have yet, by the way, too. So, but the unfortunate reality is, I don't think Japan has quite figured, Nintendo rather, has quite figured out yet that there are plenty of people outside of Japan that would love to have this same stuff. And Nintendo, in typical Nintendo fashion, and sadly they do this a lot, and I don't understand why, they're just kind of leaving money on the table. Because for those of you, anybody who plays Smash will understand this. So when the last Smash Brothers came out, Smash 4 for Wii U, 3DS, they decided to put out amiibos for all of the fighters in that game. And they were, not only were they neat little collector pieces, but they actually had some in-game functionality. You could hook them up using near-field communication on the Wii U tablet, and you could actually download, or not download, but you could implement a version of the fighter that the amiibo represents, and they would be like AI controlled, but you could fight against them and level them up and actually train them to fight against you, and they would adapt to your strategies and learn how to counter you and beat your butt. And in fact, I remember reading something very early on when Smash 4 came out, that at one of the first professional events, like competitive events for Smash 4, an amiibo took 3rd place. Like, imagine that. An AI took a very high-ranking position at a competitive Smash tournament. Like, I don't know if anybody's ever watched competitive Super Smash Brothers. It's insane. People who play that game competitively, professionally, are absolutely out of this world. I don't know where they get that level of talent from or that level of technical skill, but holy crap, it's a wonder to watch. It's like watching somebody from South Korea play StarCraft. If you've ever seen that, it's akin to that same vein, and I'm not saying that to be disparaging to South Koreans. I'm mesmerized by how well the South Koreans play StarCraft. It's absolutely ridiculous. I certainly will never have that level of prowess that anybody from that country has with that game. And that's not to say that every South Korean plays StarCraft. Obviously, that isn't true, but all of the best StarCraft players come from South Korea. That's just a fact. There's all the most amazing, talented people that play that game all come from South Korea. I don't know why that is. I couldn't tell you. I don't know why that country in particular is so... Look at that, isn't that awesome? So, I don't know why that country in particular is so well-versed and so obsessed with that game, but, I mean, I guess if you're going to be good at something. So what I'm using here is I'm using Killer Mantle to instantly kill the Red Minotaur, because it, as I mentioned with Killer Mantle, it swaps their HP and magic points. Red Minotaurs don't have magic. So if you swap their MP with their HP, they have 0 HP and they just die instantly. There's not that many enemies that this works on, because generally speaking, most enemies have at least some magic points. Hitting somebody with the Killer Mantle does damage too. As you can see, it does 181. So even if they had that number or fewer, it would still kill them. However, if you're doing that against a monster that has a ton of magic points, and there's a few, like for example, if I were to use this against a Succubus, I would make it OP. And the unfortunate thing with the Killer Mantle is you can't reverse the process. Once you swap their HP and MP, it stays that way pretty much. So you can't go back to using just their HP instead. At least I don't believe you can. I've used this on a few things that had a lot of MP, and as soon as you do that, good luck, because you're not going to kill him now. You might as well just leave the room and come back. Let's hoping Red Minotaur doesn't give me a lot of grief, because he's actually the last soul that I need from this area. And then we can leave the arena. I didn't get the Bale earlier, but there's actually a better place to farm him in the top floor. I didn't get Aranis, but again, there's a place to do that in the top floor. So if we don't get either of those before we leave here, I will not be too upset, because we can just go to the top floor and do it. But I need to get Red Minotaur, because this is the only place to get it. And actually, Red Minotaur has probably the most powerful soul in the game. That being said, do not expect to be able to spam the thing, because it uses an absolutely egregious amount of MP to cast it, but it's basically a screen wipe. When you cast it, I'll show you when I get it, but when you cast it, it takes up just about the entire bloody screen, and it does a ton of damage, and it hits multiple times. So it's basically like using a Power of Sire or something from Symphony of the Night, where it just clears everything off the screen. excluding bosses, obviously, because bosses can take more than one hit from those, but it does do a ton of damage still, even 2 bosses. So we're just going to run this episode out until I get the Red Minotaur soul here. Let's make sure I've got the right soul set equipped. I do, okay. As you can see, the nice thing about Killer Mantle 2 is that it doesn't really use much MP, so I can just kind of sit here and do this with impunity over and over again. Something else that I neglected to mention, and I really wish I had done in retrospect, what I should have done, because you have the opportunity to, if I had gone and beaten the last boss with the proper set of souls to get the true ending, there would actually be a point between... Hey, Battle Axe. There would be a point between after me killing the boss and before the true ending of the game where I could come back to the whole castle and do all the soul farming. So, and the nice thing about waiting until that point to do it is you get a unique soul for getting the true ending that allows you to traverse the castle much faster and costs almost nothing to use. And I really wish, in retrospect, that I had just gone and fought the last boss and gotten that soul, because then I'd just be bolting in and out of places and probably could have shaved at least a good 5 or 6 minutes off the whole length of this entire process by now. Which sounds dramatic, and that's probably true, but at the same time, really wish I'd done that now. Obviously, at this point, it's a little late because we don't really have that many souls left to get, and most of them are up on that top floor anyway. So, yeah, there's that. At any rate, I will be able to get it before we go to the end of the game. There is actually a good chunk of the game we get to experience that we otherwise wouldn't once we get the true ending. I'm leveling up an awful lot from these Red Minotaurs because they give you a ton of experience, but not so yet. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and try to grab them next time. It shouldn't take long, but as soon as I do, we'll be out of the arena for good and never have to come back. So I'll do that next episode. So thank you all very much for sticking around up to this point. I really do appreciate it. I know I said this last time, but I really mean it this time. I think one more week of soul farming and we'll be done. I'm going to do a finale episode, just regardless of how long it takes. Once I get the last soul, we're just going to move on to the boss and finish up whatever we need to do, including the true ending and what comes after it. It really doesn't take all that long, if I'm being honest, so... that being said, there actually only there's a couple of souls you can't get until after you beat the last boss and get to the true ending, so I think there's 3 specifically that you can't get until you get past that point, so we're going to have to wait until after the boss fight to do those 3, but that's fine. So we're going to do more soul farming next week, and then we'll move on to the finale after that, hopefully. So again, as I said, thank you very much for sticking around. I really do appreciate it. If you're not interested in soul farming, feel free to skip this week's worth of stuff and probably next week too. I will preface them in the video descriptions, but until then, I will see you guys next time. This has been Seraphin. Stay classy, internets.